While you were growing up and being exposed to the excuses disease, you were unaware of what was happening. The means for transferring the mind viruses you caught was through the magic of memetics, which I discussed in the opening chapters of this program. Remember that mimic is the root word of memetics, and you certainly did mimic the infected people around you. You were a ready, willing, and gullible little package for the memes to take root, replicate, and spread in. If your environment hadn't been so fertile, you wouldn't be dealing with the effects of those excuses today. This isn't a reason to blame anyone. There were lots of opportunities, particularly as you grew into your teen years and beyond, when you had a choice in allowing the excuses to take hold or not. Rather, this is all about seeing that in your earliest years, you were a magnet for the energy that was directed at you. And as you got older, you didn't exactly stop pulling excuses towards you and start attracting and nourishing the ways that would have allowed you to outgrow them. And question number 5, were you exposed? The short answer here is yes. Of course you were exposed because you had daily contact with carriers of mind viruses. However, the excuses be gone paradigm is designed to strengthen your natural immune system so that you can deal with any similar disease processes that may come your way now and in the future. Accepting total responsibility. In spite of your history, the one and only place that your excuses originated is in you. Regardless of the age you were when these ideas were implanted, how contagious your early family conditioning was, how frequently you were exposed, and how potent the diseases were in your home, school, church, and culture, the responsibility is still yours. To live in a totally excuse-free life, you must be willing to state, quote, I adopted these behaviors. I chose all of it. I may have been a child, and I may not have had the skills or the natural abilities to resist early influences, but it was all still my choice. I take full responsibility for any and all excuse-making that I've engaged in, unquote. The reason I took you through the 5 questions in the last section wasn't so you would find new explanations for your habit, but rather so you could just see how prevalent mind viruses were during the formative years of your life. Now, at each stage of exposure to these mind viruses, there was always you. You may have been vulnerable, gullible, fearful, wanting to fit in, or just going along with the program, but there was still you. You're not a chair that's been redesigned and reupholstered or a robot that was created in a laboratory and oiled to perfection by its owners. No. You're a live human being with a mind of your own. After all, other members of your family, perhaps even some of your siblings, weren't fooled like you were, and you probably saw some of your friends resist the efforts of others to enculturate them in this same manner. I encourage you to accept complete responsibility for all of your excuse-making tendencies. You are capable of making choices to cease self-sabotaging thinking habits now, and you were just as capable when you were a child. Yet please don't take responsibility with any sense of shame or self-reproach. Know that throughout your life you always did what you knew how to do. You're not currently being punished or attract these inclinations because of some past life karmic debt. I elaborated the excuse-building symptoms and the contagious effects of these early memes so that you can understand them. Give them a fond embrace and then bid them all farewell. Think about what St. Paul said in his letter to the Corinthians. Quote, when I was a child, I thought like a child. That's from Corinthians 13:11. Look back at those early childlike mimicking behaviors and remind yourself, I no longer need to hang on to anything I adopted as a young person, regardless of how powerful the influences may have been. When you ask, where did these excuses come from, the answer is that they came from you, an individual who was once willing to listen to that kind of thinking. But avow that you now intend to say goodbye and good riddance to excuses that keep you from experiencing the highest, most glorious levels of happiness, success, and health. The key concept to grasp here is that once you start understanding, you can stop rationalizing and justifying. Your past isn't just another reason to explain your deficiencies. Don't tell yourself that old influences are your excuse for making excuses. Take responsibility for your life and discontinue the use of blame and fault-finding.